Warm welcome to you all on behalf of Team MindRetreat. My name is Pratap Mehta, and I'll be the moderator for this virtual session on Veterans Chaupal. Chaupal is a gossip center, exchange of views, exchange of stories in our villages. Yeah, along with Swati and Usha Sukumara. Greetings to each one of you on the eve of 75th Independence Day. MindRetreat is an online platform that helps entrepreneurs, professionals, students, homemakers, to everyone to grow by unleashing the potential of their mind. We have today invited veterans of Indian Armed Forces to come and share their inspiring and entertaining stories, their experiences at this Veterans Chaupal. Let me take this opportunity to present you our distinguished veterans, their spouses, and their children. Sir, you may all introduce yourself when you want to speak for the first time, right? So we have Commodore Inderjit Sharma, who is a veteran and the hero of 1971 Indo-Pak War, along with Rekha Sharma, his better half, and his daughter Priya Sharma Shaikh. We have Commodore Mike Bhada, a carrier-borne fighter pilot. We have Group Captain Nitin Welde, is an Air Force helicopter pilot. We have Raj Dutta, who is a maritime reconnaissance, surveillance, anti-submarine, all these things included pilot, and with Meena Dutta. Then we have Commander Sanjay Sinha. Commander Sanjay Sinha, are you there? I haven't seen you. Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Shaurya. Right. Fine, thank you. Yeah. Then we have gorgeous Geetanjali Dhulekar, spouse of a naval officer. Then we have Akshay Rawat. He's a son of a naval officer, Captain Rawat. Then, of course, the most talented Neerja Singh, spouse of Air Marshal from the Air Force. Yes, and last but not least, we have Maj Ankita Srivastava. Oh, wow, you can hear us? Namaste. Yes, right. Maj Ankita Srivastava. She's retired.
She's got two IDs.
Yes, and she's also a spouse of Group Captain, serving Group Captain. Right. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to share with you first who are veterans. The veterans are retired Army, Navy, Air Force officers, the men and women who died serving their country in a war, and the soldiers who are still alive and served in the forces at any time during peace or war are remembered and respected around the world as veterans. The compassion, respect, and empathy that armed forces in most countries earn is through performance in war, national suffering, due war, and other acts of nation building. That's what the veterans do, and the serving officers and the men and women do. Perhaps that is why the Indian Armed Forces, Army, Air Force, Navy, have been able to garner that kind of support, respect, compassion, and empathy from public at large. Let me remind you, the 62 Indo-Pak conflict, the 1965 and 71 Indo-Pak War since independence have resulted in decisive victory for India. The incidences like Siachen, Uri, or Pulwama, and more recently, which is that Pulwama, have caused mental devastations with respect to national spirit and motivation loss of motivation among public at large. So these will also be remembered for a long time to come. The veterans have tons of experience from their service career, which they all love to share and and boast over a glass of beer with their colleagues and batchmates. But today, they are going to share their stories of the days gone by with you all, the public at large.
I am a Commander Sanjay Sinha. I'm from National Defense Academy, Air Force Academy, Naval Academy, Defense Staff College, Bhada, and joined Armed Forces on day 1st of August 19. I hail from Bihar, a small state called a place called Bhada Dham, and happened to get my admission in Science College, Patna. I never heard what is National Defense Academy. My roll number is Science College Patna was 175. What did so happen during the break? I met one of my friends. After a long time, I asked my friend, where were you for such a long time? He said, I had gone to attend an interview. I said, which interview? He said, I had gone to attend a service selection board, SSB. I didn't know what does SSB mean. I said, what does SSB mean? He says, it stands for Service Selection Board. The friend, then why did you go for Service Selection Board? He said, I went to attend for the National Defense Academy interview. NDA interview. I again asked him, what does NDA stand for? He said, NDA stands for National Defense Academy. Then I asked him, what did happen in interview? He said, I don't know. What did they look into interview? This was my first time and I failed in that interview. I was shocked and surprised and overwhelmed both. What is this National Defense Academy interview? I must give it a try for it. And it had heard for the first time its name. Courtesy as help, I could get the form of, I said, where I can get the form? He said, from UPSC. I asked him, what does UPSC mean? It is Union Public Service Commission. And it is, I asked him, where it is? He said, it is Delhi. And look at New Delhi and look at Dholpur House. First time I had heard about Union Public Service Commission and the Dholpur House and the exam being conducted for NDA by UPSC. Courtesy as help, I could get that form of National Defense Academy. That time it meant a lot for me, a lot of money for me. It cost me 7 rupees. I attended the written examination and by a fluke, I passed that examination. And it was the month of April, I got a call that 26th of April till 29th of April, I have an interview at number 4 AFSB, Varanasi. I asked, what does AFSB stand for? I could get to know that Air Force Selection Service Board. Now it was a great opportunity for me because I'd never gone out of Bihar ever. And in the form it was mentioned that you can come, you will be paid to and fro railway cost of the ticket, and a stay has been arranged for 5 days. It was the first time for me coming to Air Force Selection Service Board. And I was very much delighted because I come from a very poor family. My father's farmer, and I had never gone out of my place, hometown. They were in the first time in the Patna. In Bihar, it said still, Ana free, Jana free, Pakde gaye to Khana free. So for me, it was a great opportunity to travel to and fro free, and even stay was always free. I, with an unreserved compartment of the train, I reached number 4 Air Force Selection Board, Varanasi, and I was amazed to see the campus, the people, and all the participants who had come. Some participants had come from New Delhi. He had an experience. He was an air marshal's son. Somebody's come from Navy. He was a vice admiral's son. Somebody's come from Army. He was a major general's or lieutenant general's son. And some of them had experience from the coaching institute. It just so happened at that time that I was also preparing for IIT examination. And I didn't know what does IIT stand for. I met one of the friends. He said, my father is a lieutenant general. He's a major general. somebody said his father is a Subedar Major. Now I was confused. I asked one of the friends, oh friend, what is better to become? A Major General or Subedar Major? Who is higher? And everybody was laughing at that time at my ignorance. But I thought I have cracked something very witty. I too was laughing along with them. Anyway, the next day our interview commenced. The first interview was they were showing, flashing some pictures, and you have to write stories on the picture. And you have to write in English. My English was poor then and even now. It just so happened right now in a company called TCS, Technology Services, I got a foreigner coming to my campus and casually asked him, what is this qualification? He said MSc, MD, FRCS, LRD, MP, which I didn't understand. He asked, what is
I think, Sanj, your audio is not, I think you are having some problems. Meanwhile, Sanjay sorts out his problem. I will now, IJ sir, share with us some of your experiences when you had just joined as a lieutenant. It's a remarkable thing that we keep talking about in our morning walks together. IJ sir. Commodore IJ Sharma. Yes. Unmute, please. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, just to brief you that I was commanding a small ship called INS Sharda. It was a customs vessel, and I got caught in a severe cyclone in 1964. I had no experience about the cyclone earlier, but however, there's a place called Kachativu Island in the Park Strait. So I had taken my shelter there so that I can go through the cyclone. But before I could do that, things became very bad. So I had to leave that place and I came to Mandapam. There's another port there on that side. So as the cyclone passed, so I didn't know what to do, but on my own, without getting any orders from naval headquarters or from the, I don't know, Madras, I started the rescue operations. That is to evacuate people from Dhanushkodi, which was totally devastated, and bring them to Mandapam. And it was a small ship like Sharda, which could only carry about 20 to 25 people as passengers. So I started this operation to the southern side, not from the north side, because we could not go to the north side. And that went on for about a month. And we rescued about 3,000 people in this. That was one experience which really made me, feel great. And I felt very proud of the effort put in by the ship's company and myself. That was one incident. And after that, I took part in this 1971 war. I was commanding a ship called INS Nirghat. It's a missile boat, which was carrying 4 missiles, and we were told to attack Karachi harbor. So the 5 of us, I was on the left flank of the leader. So as we were going in, I picked up a contact. It happened to be a battle destroyer, INS Khyber. So I requested the squadron commander that permission to attack this Pakistan ship, INS Khyber. So I turned off to the left and closed my range from 20 nautical miles to 17 nautical miles. And I fired my first missile. The first missile went on, it hit the target. It was a direct hit. And I could see that on my radar screen. And I told the squadron commander, target hit, not sunk, still moving. Permission to launch second missile. So after some time, I got the permission that I should launch the second missile. And I again closed the range a little further and fired the second missile. But this time, it was again a direct hit because the ship was slowed down on the other side. And it was broken into two pieces. That slowly I felt on my radar screen that the ship was sinking. and there was no target after some time. So for that, of course, in due course of time, the bravery of the crew and other officers on the ship recognized, and we got Veer Chakras and Nausana medals and things like that. So we altered course again to go towards Karachi Harbour to attack the Karachi Harbour, but that was the main mission. But before I could do that, I got engaged with this PNS Khyber thing. So by the time we could chase the main force towards Karachi, the signal was given Angar. That means the operation has been successful and we should return back. So we returned back immediately, turned 180 degrees and headed towards Bombay. That was another very great experience being in these services. That's all I can say. There are many more which I will not like to repeat. But this was the most distinguished one. In the first case, I got an ABSM, that is Ati Vishishta medal by the President of India. In the second case, I got a Veer Chakra. Thank you very much and God bless you.
Thank you, IJ sir. It's absolutely nostalgic, and I'm so privileged to have my morning walks with Commodore IJ Sharma. Of late, last 6 months, because of his little knee problem which has come up, and after some time, I'm going to call him up and ask him when did his knee problem start, and that he will tell us little later. But it's commendable as a lieutenant to get AVSM. He is still the youngest officer in all three services. It's normally given to people like brigadiers, commodores, generals, and things like that. To get it as a lieutenant, it's amazing, amazing. Yes, it's so beautiful. Yes, sir.
But I just want to intervene here. So when this operations took place, they're discussing what award should be given. In fact, the talk was that I should be given a PVSM. But then somebody said, what the hell? You don't give PVSM to lieutenants. So it was brought down to AVSM. That's what happened actually. There's a true story in Madras.
Yes. And that was for rescue operation.
Yes.
And the Pamban area. That's, yes. And Dhanush Kodi, please do go and visit Rameshwaram and visit Dhanush Kodi. I urge each one. Till date, the railway line uprooted in 64-65 is not yet being replaced or repaired. The church there, the houses there, the walls are standing erect without the roof. It's so beautiful. And what he tells, it's 200% correct, absolutely correct. It's so beautiful. Let's ask our Neerja Singh, what does she has to share? Please go ahead.
Thank you, Captain Mehta. What I have to share, well, my husband retired.
Spotlight, please. Yeah.
My husband retired, Air Marshal S. Harpal retired. He retired 2 years ago. And what I want to share is the deep sense of pride I have in the Indian Armed Forces. The fact that the Indian Armed Forces is a voluntary armed forces. There's no conscription. The fact that they've given such a stellar record of themselves in international exercises. These are things I've grown up listening to from people around me. And the fact that there's never been a coup in our country. All around us in the neighborhood, there have been these instances, but our armed forces has been under civilian rule, not the rule of bureaucrats, but under the president, the parliament. I think these are some remarkable things about the armed forces. They make me very proud. And when I was getting married to this young fighter pilot, my husband was a flight lieutenant at that time. I was working in an advertising agency, and I used to talk about the corporate world those days. The salary in the armed forces was not all that great. And I remember my mother telling me, just listen to me and meet this man. And of course, my then, not fiance, but the potential person, he told me that one of the eligibilities to be a fighter pilot in the Indian Air Force was good looks. I didn't believe him until I met him. It's one of the things that he would say. And memories of every Air Force station has a Bhangi colony. Every Air Force station has a MiG alley. My husband was a MiG pilot, and I have memories of temporary duty and memories of the ration. All the wives would get together to make cornflakes, namkeen. It was such a big thing those days. We would go crazy in Adampur Air Force Station making puree, tomato puree, just because tomatoes were 2 rupees a kilo. And of course, there was the temporary duty, which we dreaded as young wives. And those days, there were no cell phones, and only the flight commander would have a telephone. So all the young wives would get together and go to the flight commander's house and then wait for the phone call to come, and all these guys would be lined up. Yeah, those are memories. And bridal welcome in the Air Force. I'm sure it's the case in the Army and the Navy also. Hair-raising stories of bridal welcomes. We had a young wife once. She was told that Pakistan is attacking us. You have to go out into the garden and dig a trench for yourself. And there she was with the shovel trying to dig a trench. So there are stories upon stories, but a lot. And today, Captain Mehta, I feel so at home. I've never met all of you, but there's this degree of comfort and immediate ease that I really treasure and cherish and value. So thank you so much for this opportunity to meet you all.
Neerja,
Yes.
you're absolutely right. I haven't met most of them except for a couple of naval officers, not even all the naval officers. And forget about meeting Neerja. She has written recently a book, a compiled anecdotes, stories of various senior citizens. How do they experience, how do they get into being a feeling of a senior citizen? What are the responsibilities they are holding? It's a lovely book. What's the name of the book that you have been?
Yes, Capt. I titled it Silver Surfers, and the tagline is me, no, pause. Me, no, pause. It's a book to
Awesome.
challenge the cult of youth. That's the idea of the book. And Captain Mehta was one of the contributors, incidentally.
Oh, thank you so much. Friends, I just want to share with you the first 3 speakers, what they have spoken about their lives in the service, and Sanjay telling before joining service, and he successfully completed 25 years. That shows they have all had a very strong mind. Very strong mind. Therefore, I want to share with you at MindRetreat. It's a program that I run every morning. The technique that you are learning at MindRetreat is called the art of reprogramming your mind. Everybody is not born with those qualities, but you can learn them. Unleash the power of your mind. Having done that, you can commence designing your goals, and goals can really be designed only in the present. Therefore, the first step to learn how to live in present moment is by keeping your mind in the present reality. Okay, this is the reality of the moment. We begin with self-awareness every day, and that is mind about ourselves. Coming to that, I want to show you the strong mind-to-mind communication about our see this video clip and you will understand yourself.
फेफड़े जो रिब्स है, तो उसके 5 रिब्स टूटे हुए थे, और 5 रिब जब टूटते हैं तो अंदर की तरफ टूटते हैं, तो उसका जो बाएं वाला फेफड़ा था उसमें 5 जगह पर छेद हो गया, और जो लंग था लेफ्ट साइड वाला उसमें बॉडी फ्लूइड और ब्लड पूरा भर गया था. ये उसके चोट थे. जब नर्स ने ये मुझे बयान किया तो मैंने नर्स से सीधा सवाल पूछा, क्या बंदा बचेगा? और जैसे डॉक्टर साहब लोग आमतौर पर होते हैं, ये नर्स ने बोला, सर मैं नहीं जानती हूं. तो हम लोग जो वर्दी पहनते हैं, थोड़े, मैं बोला ना, दिल से करते हैं हम काम, दिल से. तो मैंने अपने सोच में मुझे यह लगा कि अगर मैं उससे बात कर सकता हूं 1 सेकेंड, तो हमारे जो 1000 जवान हैं, उनका जो मन का शक्ति है, जो दिल का शक्ति है, वो मैं उस तक भेजूं टेलीफोन के थ्रू. मैंने नर्स को पूछा क्या मैं बात कर सकता हूं उससे, तो उसने बोला कि
can you all listen to these dialogues? Watch them. Yeah, they
Yes,
are very
Captain.
powerful and a great example of mind-to-mind communication. Please continue listening. Just 2 minutes.
अब 6 दिन हुए, इसने आज तक बात नहीं कही है। इसकी आंखें खुले तो है, लेकिन ये क्या सुन सकता है, क्या महसूस कर सकता है, क्या बोल सकता है, मैं नहीं जानती हूं। मैंने फिर भी बोला कि आप फोन का जो हैंडसेट है उसके पास रख सकते हो, तो उसने बोला हां। तो उसने फोन उसके हैंडसेट उसके कान के पास रखा। मैंने उस टाइम उससे पूछा था, निम्बाराम उसका नाम है, वो सीकर डिस्ट्रिक्ट राजस्थान का है। मैं बोला निम्बाराम क्या हाल है तेरे? 15 या 20 सेकंड गुजरे, कोई जवाब नहीं आया। मैंने सोचा शायद वो खत्म हो रहा है, शायद वो सुना ही नहीं मेरी बात, शायद वो बोल नहीं पा रहा है। मैं फोन रखने वाला ही था अपनी तरफ से, क्यों उस टाइम तक मेरा दिल पूरा ही टूट चुका था। फोन मैं रखने वाला ही था, एक बिल्कुल पतली सी आवाज में जवाब आया। इतना चोट खाने के बाद बिस्तरे पे पड़ा हुआ जवान पतला सा आवाज में बोलता है मेरे से कि साहब पेट में थोड़ी सी तकलीफ है, और फिर बाद में बोलता है साहब मैं तो ठीक हूं, अपने पलटन के बाकी बंदे कैसे हैं? आपको कहानी सुनना है तो कहानी ऐसे सुनो, कहानी सुनाना है तो कहानी ऐसे सुनाओ। जो जवान खुद मृत्यु के दरवाजे पर खड़ा है, वो मृत्यु के आंखों में आंख डाल करके खड़ा है उस वक्त, और वो सिर्फ सोच रहा है अपने टोली में बाकी बंदों के बारे में। यह होता है सेल्फलेसनेस, यह होता है किसी और को त्याग करने का काबिलियत। अगर आज के तारीख पे तिरंगा लहराता है गर्व से हवा में, ऐसे लोगों के वजह से लहराता है। यही वो सांस है जिससे ये देश जीता है, और इसी जवानों के वजह से मैं हमेशा कहता हूं, मुझे 5000 जन्म दे दो, मैं दोबारा यही वर्दी पहनूंगा।
Okay, friends, I'm too numb to talk to you anymore. How did you like it? Just put it in the chat box. What was your reaction? Even those who have been in the armed forces have heard this story. But look at this powerful mind-to-mind communication. The Jawan who is on the deathbed, still asking, मेरे दूसरे साथी कैसे हैं? मेरे दूसरे साथी कैसे हैं? This is the spirit of those who serve the nation. This is still the spirit of all those veterans today who are amongst you. This is still the veteran. This is the spirit of the spouses and the children of the veterans. Now, when we are talking about the children, I think we have a surprise guest today, Nakul and Janki Mehta. I invite them to tell us something. Yeah, put a spotlight on them, please. Yes.
Good evening. Good evening.
Put a spotlight, please. Right. Yes, nice to see you pinching some time from your shoot.
Thank you. Thank you
Right.
for having me, and thank you for inviting me to this. very wonderful and noteworthy event which you're having today. Veterans Chaupal, I love the name already. And I think to have this at the cusp of India's 74th Independence Day is really wonderful. So thank you for having me. Yes, and I just thought I'll come and quickly share, some of my takeaways being a child or a child of the armed forces, Indian Armed Forces. And I think a few things which I took away. I spent about, I think before you retired, I spent about 13 years before life turned civilian. And life was very different. I think the greatest takeaway for me was how in the forces, secularism and pluralism is the foundation of, I think, everyone's conduct. Something which, especially today in the civilian world and given the political climate we have, I feel is very hard for me to go out and sort of, see how people are being divided basis caste, religion. It's been happening for very many years, but I think in the armed forces, you're privy to meeting so many of your parents, friends coming from different castes, different states, different religions. And never did I ever learn that, oh, this person is so and so, and this person comes from a different. In fact, I think especially in the army, like a regiment has so many different people coming together, and I find that so beautiful. And in a lot of ways, it is an embodiment of what our country is, right? What India truly is, and I truly hope that all of us can celebrate all of you a lot more. I think the veterans who've served our country, because only when we sort of, I think, understand the sacrifices and the life you've chosen to live, can we really, I think, respect our own sort of foundation and respect our own heritage. So I thought that, if you allow me, there's a little poem we had come up with. Ajay Singh, a dear friend of mine, has written it. I'd like to narrate it. It's called Bharat. It's about the concept of India for us. So if you allow me, I'd like to sort of narrate it or recite it for all of you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
what do you
awesome.
say? Give a thumbs up if you want him to recite a poem.
I see.
Wow.
I see. Neerja ji is up and
Yes.
Mala ji is,
Wow.
and Usha is up. Okay, great.
Yeah,
So
great. Go ahead.
And I'll be happy to hear any suggestions, any feedback, thoughts, critique in comments posted. We are always willing to learn, but this is something I which really resonates with me right now. So Bharat क्या है? जमीन का टुकड़ा या 3 रंगों वाला झंडा? जन गण मन है भारत या वंदे मातरम भारत? दिन रात भारत की बात करने वालों, भारतीयों में ही फर्क करने वाले, तुम जानते भी हो क्या है भारत? द्रविडों आर्यों का भारत, राम है भारत, रहीम भी भारत, पुराण कुरान गुरु ग्रंथ, ईसा मूसा बुद्ध नास्तिक सब भारत। कहीं गुप्त मौर्यों का भारत, कहीं चोला चालुक्य का भारत, कभी मराठों राजपूतों का भारत, तो मुगलों और अंग्रेजों का भी भारत। जब भारत नहीं था तब भी था अपना भारत। मेल्टिंग पॉट के जैसा, तीखे मीठे कड़वे नमकीन सबको अपने में मिलाता चलता, सीखता सिखाता गिले शिकवे भुलाता चलता। संस्कृतियों की पिघलन है अपना भारत। तुम प्रतीकों को जितना चाहे पूजना है पूज लो, थिएटरों में खड़े कर देशभक्ति के इम्तिहान भी ले लो। सच फिर भी यही है, भारतीयों के बिना बस एक लेबल है भारत। हम भारतीय नहीं क्योंकि भारत है, भारत है क्योंकि हम भारतीय हैं। भारतीयों से मोहब्बत कर लो, भारत से अपने आप हो जाएगी। तो आज से 74 साल पहले हमारे देश को आजादी मिली थी। और हमारे बाप दादाओं ने और काफी आप लोग जो काफी लोग यहाँ अटेंड कर रहे हैं जो वेटरन्स हैं, उन्होंने लड़ाइयाँ लड़ी थी या आजादी हासिल करने की या आजादी बरकरार रखने की। इसलिए नहीं कि कल को उनके बच्चे एक दूसरे को सर्टिफिकेट देते रहे कि कौन भारतीय है कौन नहीं। जो भी इस देश में रहता है, जो भी इस देश को अपना मानता है, वो भारत है। और हम इनफैक्ट भारत हम सबका है। और इसी थॉट के साथ मैं इस पोएम को कंप्लीट करना चाहूंगा कि भारत हम सबका है। सो यस, थैंक यू for allowing me to share this.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And where is your gorgeous wife and the daughter-in-law of the family?
She's just coming. Are you ready to come here?
Okay. Yeah.
Lovely. I also have another bone to pick with you, Dad.
Yeah.
I don't know why the Fauji children are called Fauji brats, right? There is all of you are extremely disciplined, but you consider your children to be brats. So I have a problem with that. You must re-christen that word. We're not brats. Yeah. So,
no, brat is a very, by the way, brat actually means the children who grow up in cantonment. Actually,
they are not brat at all. They are the first people to actually greet everyone.
Nakul, have you heard a word called as soda?
Yes, sir. I don't know what that means though.
It is Service Officers Daughters Association.
No, ma'am, not Service Officers. Officers Daughters Association.
I want to be part of this association.
Senior Officers, actually Senior Officers Daughters Association.
Yeah. So when you join as a pilot officer and somebody says, she's a soda, there are no SOSAs, by the way. There are no Senior Officers Sons Association because we are not interested. But we are definitely interested in Senior Officers Daughters Association. So yeah, brat का एक और एक alternative दे दिया मैंने आज.
Oh,
wonderful!
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wonderful.
So much.
Thank you.
There are some messages in the chat.
Yes.
Chat.
Right.
Usha, I didn't catch what you were saying.
There are messages on the chat box.
Oh, I must.
I was just alerting the Captain method that
yes.
You've got messages over there.
No, I can't see any message.
Yes, Akshay is here. Thank you, Akshay. Oh my God, so wonderful. Too many years.
Yeah, in fact, Nakul, sorry, I'll just butt in here. Apologies.
Yes.
I also unfortunately am now a civilian, unlike like you, technically. But one quality that I've seen you on Facebook, and I keep hearing your strong views, and this is really the upbringing that defense has given us. Had you just been another actor or another civilian, you would have just pushed it under the carpet and said, how does it affect me? And I'm an actor and I've got to do my job, and you wouldn't have bothered. But because you've got this deep sense of values and ethics, and you know what is right and wrong, and we also know when to talk when something is wrong, right? We're not just like the other category who are just going to keep quiet. So your poem resonated with me, and your belief system resonated because, like your dad, my dad, our belief system is so strong. So I think this is one of the biggest gift of being a defense son, even though we're technically civilian now. And lovely to see you, and wish you all the best. Keep shining. And just lovely to say.
Absolutely. It's so wonderful to see you, Akshay, and thank you for sharing that. It's been way too many years, but I think what you said was absolutely right. And the second biggest gift I think Armed Forces has given us is Old Monk. That's on a lighter note, but would love to see you in person at some point. But I'm going to quickly hand this over to Janki. Janki, you want to come and sit here? Okay, so thank you. I'll be back.
Come. Okay. Have little patience, and she is going to give us a surprise. Yes.
Hi, Dad. Okay.
Janki is my daughter-in-law and also a professional singer. So on this auspicious occasion, What are you going to sing for us? Go ahead.
Okay. Firstly, I would just like to welcome everyone here on behalf of my father-in-law. Thank you, Dad, for having me here. And I've always held the armed forces in high regards, more so after I got married, thanks to Dad, and listening to all his stories of his journey in the armed forces, and through Nakul. So I'm so happy, Dad, that you've called me and made me a part of this Zoom session today. I think what I'm going to sing today is, so Dad wanted a song which is very peppy and happy and energetic. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sing a song by one of my favorite composers, A.R. Rahman, and the song is called Jai Ho. So if you can just give me 10 seconds, I'm going to play that track. So everyone can actually put themselves on mute and clap and sing along and do whatever you like on the other side.
Yeah, Janki, you have to unmute first. I put everyone on the mute.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jai Ho, Jai Ho, Jai Ho, Jai Ho. Raja Dundashami ane ke tane, Jabari wale neere apman ke tane. Jai Ho. Raja Dundashami ane ke tane, Jabari wale neere apman ke tane. Jai Ho. Jai Ho. Jai Ho. Jai Ho. रति रति सच्ची मैंने जान कमाई, नच नच कोयलों पे रात दिखाई, अखियों की नींद मैंने फूकों से उड़ा दी, नीले नीले तारे में उंगली जलाई है। ए आजा आजा जिंदगानी आने के तारे, आजा वाले नीले आसमान के तले, चमे दो थामे दे थामे दे बेरू दे। Bala bala. Ahora conmigo tú baila para hoy con nuestra día de movida que escogemos los que sé. Salud, baila baila. You are the reason that I breathe. You are the reason that I still believe. You are the destiny. Destiny, I'm a destiny. Destiny, I'm a destiny. I'm a destiny. Baila, baila, Jehu, baila, baila, Jehu, baila, baila, Jehu.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you. Thank you.
Janki.
Thank you, Dad, for having me. And happy Independence Day. Happy Independence Day. Advance way happy Independence Day to everyone.
Thank you so much, Janki. It's really wonderful having you and Nakul and giving us nearly a surprise to us. Right.
Thank you.
So with this, let's move on and ask Group Captain Nitin Welde, what does he have to share with us? Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, an absolute pleasure to be here this evening. My name is Nitin Welde, born and brought up in Pune. Served the Air Force from 93 to 2016. Served in Siachen, Tezpur, became an instructor, thereafter Cat A instructor, went to Namibia to train the Namibian pilots, did a stint in flying instructor school, then went to Indonesia for my staff course, came back, became a flight commander in operational unit in Udhampur. I was awarded a Vayu Sena Medal Gallantry by the President in January 2012 for a life-saving mission in Jammu and Kashmir. Thereafter commanded a unit in Delhi area, and coming to the crossroads of life, as one calls it, the golden 20, took a call to settle down in Amchi, Pune, pensioner's paradise. So yeah, technically I'm a pensioner, but happy to go to various banks, and when they say, sir, you don't look like a pensioner, I really feel nice about it. So coming to what I do presently, I've been seeing Pratap sir on various, we got connected in a non-Fauji atmosphere, if I was to call it that. And both of us have been absolute, one thing in common between us is we are hardcore learners. We are a part of various training groups where we learned so many things that were unknown to us. So my skill sets other than flying also happen to be, I'm a facilitator. I have written a book, anthology on facilitation. I'm a motivational speaker. Now I'm an ICF certified coach, and that's where I connected to Priya. So life is good. And what I have to tell such August gathering is actually nothing. The only thing that I wish to say, and which is my serious thought, is I've always felt that when veterans are veterans, they have given so much and their experiences are so innumerable in nature. It is I decided to myself that when I retire, it shall be my honest endeavor to go up and discuss with people whatever my experiences are, because I feel blessed to have those experiences. So whether there's one person, two people, 5 people, or 500 people, I make it a point to just go and share my experiences with them. And like I said, when I go there, I actually leave all my baggage outside. And that's my favorite quote, which I say, I carry the contents of the bag, but the baggage is what I've left behind. So my honest, confession to everybody is I am actually a civilian. I love to mingle around with everybody, and I've left all those ranks and awards and all that because I feel that one needs to break those barriers to be part of them rather than us versus them, which I keep tweeting, which I keep writing on LinkedIn. So always happy to be here and celebrating India's independence. So that's about from me, and happy to further take on this conversation. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Nitin. It's great having you in spite of having on-duty helicopter flying job at Ahmedabad. He's still able to log in with a borrowed laptop. Thank you so much. And moving on, Geetanjali, what do you have to share with us? And I want to tell you something very special day in the life of Geetanjali, or Sunil and Geetanjali Dhulekar. But I will tell you little later. Let Geetanjali share her stories, experiences of their life, naval life. Yeah.
Hello, I don't know what you have to say about us, but well, okay. I'm Geetanjali Dhulekar, and I'm married to a now retired naval officer, Commander Sunil Dhulekar. I come from a family which has no connections whatsoever with the armed forces. And I was very ignorant about, the traditions and the culture that is followed in the services. But my husband's first commanding officer, he was an INS Talwar at that time. So his wife warmly welcomed me and took me under her wing, gently breaking me into the customs that were followed. Women in the armed forces are treated with so much of respect and adoration. I think there are no rules for us, right? There
Yes.
will always be, instructions for the men, what dress code they have, but the women can just be themselves, be comfortable in whatever. So if you are the kinds who wants to absorb things from the armed forces, there is so much that they offer. So like whether it is our kids wanting to pick up some sports or any kind of game or activity, it is just there. You just have to be a willing, keen learner. So from horse riding and sailing and things that I think civilians cannot even imagine doing. So all those kind of things, I have done a lot of those. I have participated in sailing championships, and that's coming from a non-swimmer. So I did all this and much more. I was given these kind of opportunities that developed my personality from a very shy, timid girl. I think I blossomed into a very confident speaker, and I was on stage comparing shows, organizing events, writing, directing, and even acting in plays and parodies. Captain Mehta, do you remember dancing to my tune?
Yes, in Vishakhapatnam.
Yes.
Yes. And we
Yes.
were in the Eastern Fleet, and you were directing a parody, which the youngster, I call Sunil Dhulekar my youngster, and I was dancing to his wife's tunes, Forget about my wife.
I know.
Absolutely.
But life, as those in the armed forces know, it's not just all fun and
yeah.
parties. It was also tough, constant
Right.
transfers, sharing houses with friends, because you have no chance of getting an independent apartment. The women folk, I think, they helped each other through everything, every difficulty and calamity. And that's how the men were never around. I mean, for those who are wondering about it, the men were just not there. So whether it is your children falling sick or whatever calamity strikes, you just have to bank on another wife who's going to see you. So that has resulted in such strong bonds of friendship that have lasted, I think, decades. And really, I still count, those friendships that we've made in the armed forces as our most ones. I think, like Mrs. Neerja Singh said, there wasn't that much money, but there was so much more that has enriched our lives. So
Beautiful.
there are a
Beautiful.
whole lot of incidents that I could narrate, but today I am kind of up there in my head. There is a lot of stress. So
You know what is the stress she's talking about? It's not the stress.
it's not stress.
It is the joy of the life. Her son is getting married in United States, and he cannot come to India. She cannot go to US, and he is getting married since morning. Various मेहंदी मेहंदी लगाई क्या बताओ ना यार थोड़ा हाथ
नहीं
पे
नहीं मेहंदी कुछ नहीं लगाई है, कुछ भी
संगीत
नहीं लगाई।
or then evening there will be a church wedding or whatever the system is there.
No, they
And
are at a ski resort in Vermont, so it's just happening there. But it's a
wow.
big wedding. There are going to be some 100 and I think 65 guests. So
Yeah.
except for the parents, everybody else is there.
Absolutely, Geetanjali. 2 years back, we were also at the Vermont ski resort for my wife's niece wedding. Awesome place, awesome place. It's great. Thank you very much, Geetanjali, for sharing such lovely memories of the days gone by. Moving on, I can ask now Commodore Mike Bhada. Bhada, sir, tell us something about your experiences. You are a fighter pilot, and fighter pilot are God's own gift. That's what they call in the Navy. not only they are called in the Navy, they call themselves the God's own gift. Let's move over and listen to Mike, sir. Unmute yourself, sir. Unmute. Sir, you have to unmute and start all over again. Mike, sir, you have to unmute if you can listen to me. All right. You have to start all over again.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Thank you, Pratap, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. After listening to various experiences and stories, I am really at a loss and I don't know what I'm going to say today, barring the fact that, yes, I'm a National Defense Academy alumni, commissioned in '62, joined the Navy, joined the Naval Aviation, and became a fighter pilot on board Vikrant. I was fortunate, as I said earlier in one of the shows, that I was fortunate to be at the right place at the right time. And just as IJ was on the West Coast, I was in the Bay of Bengal operating on board INS Vikrant. I have a plethora of stories to tell, honestly. And I don't know where to begin, because once I begin, I might exceed my 10 minutes. I've kept my watch there facing me. A typical practice taught when I was a DS in the Defense Services Staff College. Stick to your timing. But I would like to relate a story, which is not a story of bravery, but it's a story which brings and which highlights the perilous life that we in the defense forces lead. All of us lead it. And it's a story which also has a touch of humor in it. This is way back in 1971. You know, surprisingly, 1971 was a very popular, a very fortunate year for me. I had this particular incident, which I'm going to relate very soon. My son was born in 1971. Our eldest son was born in 1971. And of course, the 1971 operations where I was fortunate to take part during the Bangladesh operations. Anyway, coming back to this particular incident, you know, we were flying the Seahawk jet aircraft from the Vikrant. But in this particular instance, the squadron was shore-based at Dabolim, Goa. Seahawk is an old aircraft, and it's a carrier-borne aircraft. Being a carrier-borne aircraft, it has this facility of folding its wings. And because the wings used to get folded, the fuel tanks of the aircraft could not be put in the wings. Normally, all aircraft have their fuel tanks in the wings. But in this particular case, they could not be. And therefore, the fuel tanks were in the main fuselage, around the engine. And these fuel tanks were made of good rubberized material. Over a period of time, the rubberized material had deteriorated, and there used to be a lot of fuel leaks leading to fires. And that was one drawback which we had to fly with when we flew the Seahawk. At any time, the fuel warning light would come on, and if it did not go off within 4 seconds, you were supposed to eject. In this particular case, I had just got airborne in a Seahawk aircraft from Dabolim airfield, and runway on the takeoff was heading into the sea. And as I got airborne, before even I could pick up my undercarriage, the air traffic control informed me that your aircraft is on fire. And that's when my warning light came on. I throttled back. Now I'm on takeoff. I can't throttle back very much. I throttled back to hope that the light would go off. The light didn't go off. The light continued. The air traffic control kept telling me, eject, eject. I was at very low height. I jettisoned the canopy and I pulled the blind and I ejected out of the aircraft at a very low height. Ejection was beautiful. This seat, I and the seat came out of the aircraft, the seat separated, the parachute deployed, and I hit the water. And I landed in the sea, safe and sound. And I must admit, thanks to the Martin Baker seat and the Irving parachute, I live to tell the tale today. I landed in the sea and inflated the life jacket. You know, we always fly with the life jacket. I inflated the life jacket and I was there on the surface. This fishing boat, which was fishing a little distance away, it came towards me and it picked me up. I disconnected my parachute and the parachute was all on the sea. I told them to pull the parachute in because it's good material, you know, pull the parachute in. They made me sit on this huge bundle of fishing net. No, it was in the middle of the boat, you know, fishing net. So they made me sit on it. I sat on it and I was giving them instructions how to pull the parachute in. Then all of a sudden, this bundle of blue net started shaking and a huge head came up between my legs. I was sitting on a tortoise. They had caught a huge tortoise, live tortoise, and I was sitting on it. I nearly jumped back into the sea. Anyway, they all laughed, the fishermen, and they made me sit properly. But then, of course, the Naval Air Station at Dabolim had been activated with the incident, and the siren had gone, the whole station had geared up, and the helicopter, the search and rescue helicopter, took off with my old friend Billy Dillon, and we had one squadron leader, Bindra, with us. So Billy Dillon and Bindra took off and came to us searching for me. They were actually looking for me in the sea, but they didn't know that I'd already got into the fishing boat. Anyway, I sort of made signs to them and they finally spotted me. So the helicopter came over the fishing boat and let the strop down to pick me up, to winch me up. Now, this particular fishing boat had an outrigger and a little mast. Now, if they lowered the strop right in the middle, that strop would get entangled with the mast. And also when they pulled me, you know, there would be some sort of a distinct. So they moved to the side and they swung the helicopter so that the strop could be caught by me. Unfortunately, they swung it on the same side where the outrigger was. You know what an outrigger is? There is a fishing boat and there is a little outrigger attached to it for balance purposes. When they pulled me up, I swung into the outrigger because I was being winched at an angle. I swung into the outrigger and my complete right side was serrated. I'm hurt. Anyway, got into the helicopter. The helicopter came to the base, perfect landing. I got out, the whole air station was also out, all excited to see this pilot having been rescued. I got out of the cockpit and I started walking. When the doctor, I still remember Surgeon Commander Dr. Dudani. So Dudani came, we used to call him Doc Dudes. So Doc Dudes came and said, no, don't walk, lie down on the stretcher. I said, but Doc, I'm perfectly all right, I can walk. No, you don't know what has gone wrong with you. You have suffered a psychological damage. Get onto the stretcher. Okay. Doctor's orders. I got onto the stretcher. The rotor blades rotating still. I was picked up. I'm looking in the blue sky through the rotor blades. And next thing I knew, I had been dropped on the ground. In all the excitement, the two medical assistants were facing in the opposite direction. As a result, both ran and they just dropped me on the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, I ejected at a low altitude from a high-speed jet aircraft with no damage, but the recovery, I had bruises on my right and a backache. Of course, when I got home, I told my wife that I had ejected. She wouldn't believe me. Till sometime later, the doorbell rang and there was a senior officer who had come to see if I was all right. And that's when Ruby was convinced that I had ejected. But that's this kind of story. That's the kind of perilous life that one leads. And we are fortunate to be here today to tell the tale. Thank you very much, Pratap.
Thank you, Mike, sir. It was absolutely awesome and hair-raising story of ejection from a carrier aircraft. And
I just I just wish to button. I have put a message, a text message. If I'm not mistaken, this Dr. Dudani is actually my cousin's husband, who settled in US in Boston, and he passed away a couple of years ago.
So I heard, sir. We were very, as a matter of fact, Dr. Dudani and Mrs. Dudani were very dear friends of ours.
Yes.
He was a part of the squadron, and we spent some wonderful times together in Goa.
yes,
Times.
thank you, Puran. You are amazing memory, going strong.
I still remember Dr. When we were on board Vikrant, he used to join us on board Vikrant also, being the squadron doctor. And I still remember, as you came out onto the flight deck with your helmet and going up to the aircraft, Dr. Dudani would be there with a bowl of sugar, and we had to put our hand out, and he'd give us a spoonful of sugar, which we had to eat in front of him, because he said, your blood sugar level must be up. I still remember that.
Absolutely.
We had a great time with him.
Right. And blood sugar level, when it comes to that, it's all about your medical fitness. And these aviation specialists knows best. And we really have trust in us, all these people. And moving on, I will now ask our Raj and Meena to share some stories with us, their experiences. They are amazing couple, very lively couple. If you are on social media handle, you just couldn't have missed the Meena, the pearl of Raj. Unmute. Unmute, Raj.
Well, Captain Mehta, sir, thank you so much for having invited us. And it's such a pleasure to listen to the wonderful stories of all the eminent veterans here, and you moderating them. So Meena has just vanished away. As usual.
She must be shooting a video with her son.
Okay. Good evening, namaskar, sat sri akal, salam dosto. I'm Commander Raj Datta, known as Raj, but I'm actually Commander Rajinder Datta. We were 7 acting sub-lieutenants to have joined INS Garuda Cochin in 1981, albeit with nil acting talent. Due to this very reason, the prefix acting was taken off from the naval ranks. So now they join as sub-lieutenants. My memory trails me down to when I was 8 years old in 1966, jab hosh sambhala. This very place, Pune, I'm at the moment in Lohegam, Pune, where I made my house. And this was the place where we came as kids. My dad was a sergeant in technician in Superconi aircraft in 6th Squadron, Pune, where I started my initial primary schooling. We lived in 1020 area and later in Viman Nagar. Our school bus used to take us across the runway, which used to be closed for Canberra and vampires taking off in the morning. It was a lovely sight. We used to enjoy from a school bus, the fighters taking off, and in the evenings we used to venture out into the Liberator abandoned aircraft.
Hello.
And hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, loud and clear.
Somebody's interrupting.
Mike, sir, please mute your audio. Yeah, go ahead, Raj.
Okay, sir. So we really used to enjoy from a bus window the fighters taking off. In the evening, we used to venture out into the park Dakota, abandoned aircraft, Liberators, do some dummy flying, and childhood was really fun in 6th Squadron. And every year there used to be a Pagal Gymkhana where the Superconi aircraft used to be parked, and we were let inside. The families used to go inside the aircraft and come out from the front stairs. So me and my younger brother, we walked up the rear ladder, ran up the aisle, and there was a warrant of the guide standing there. I requested him that can I sit in the pilot seat, and he politely refused. coming down, I told my younger brother that one day I'm going to fly this aircraft. And what it was just out of the hat. I was 8 years old then. 15 years later, 1981, if you fast forward, I had joined INS 312 Squadron in Goa to fly the same aircraft that my dad serviced. My dad must have been in seventh heaven on hearing I was to fly the same aircraft that he serviced. My perfect naval salute to the original albatrosses, the INS 312, the Superconies. And after the Superconies, I had gone to Coast Guard to fly the F-27 Fokkers. Then for my FIS, followed by, we had brought the HPT-32 aircraft from the HAL, instructed on Islanders and HPT-32. And that's where there was a very, very challenging incident that happened with me. Now, let me tell you what it was. It was a ditching of Islander aircraft. Now, before I go into the ditching of the aircraft, let me tell you, this twin-engine Britain normal Islander aircraft is a flying taxi with a capacity to seat 10 passengers. Navy had converted these into observer training role by fitting a drawing table, a squarish drawing table behind the pilot co-pilot, and where 3 under-trainee observers along with the instructor could sit, and this was used primarily for navigation. Most pilots have, now I come to the ditching part, most pilots have faced an emergent situation that call for prompt and correct response. I, with Lieutenant Subhranshu co-pilot and Lieutenant Arif, who was our observer, we faced this situation on 9th of December 87 on Islander 132. The aircraft had come out after a long maintenance of 500 hours, and it was to be checked as flown before handing over to the squadron. So we had taken this aircraft and on the 9th of December, and we were given sector south. So let me tell you what this profile is. In this profile, you check the power of both the engines, climb performance with both engines perfect. You switch off one engine and check the flying performance on single engine. And then you relight this engine, switch off the other engine, and check the flying performance of that engine. And you have to note down all the data. How much is the flying, the climb gradient, and etc., etc. So what happened was, while my one engine was switched off, the other engine on which I was climbing, that failed. The port engine failed. The starboard engine was switched off. I tried to relight that, but the starter was getting stuck. So I was without any engine. We tried to make the airfield, but we were under the glide. So gave a mayday call and we ditched the aircraft in the Cochin Channel. Fortunately for us, all 3 of us came out, and I was the last to come out because my seat belt was not opening. So for good about 2 minutes, I was underwater. And when I came out, all 3 of us shook hands, and a lot of fishing boats came around us, jumped onto the fishing boat and came alongside. We went to a school and rang up from there to the ops room. So Menon was there. Menon was the ops officer. So when Arif spoke to him, he told him that, hi, Menon, how are you? So Menon says, hey, Arif, don't talk to me now. We are in an emergency. And he put the phone down. A call was given again to Menon, and Arif told him, hey, hold on. We are the survivors, and this is our location. Unfortunately, what had happened when I given the mayday call, the ATC had piped up. Roger, you're homing 348, 5.2 miles. That was a ditching point. So what the ATC did was they sent the rescue helicopters on 348. Instead of homing, they didn't convert the homing into bearing. So they sent on 348, which was near the harbor mouth. And they were looking around for us there, whereas we were reciprocal. And when the ATC came to know of our position, they sent the rescue helicopters and we were picked up and brought to our Garuda. So that was my ditching experience. It was nice. The aircraft was later on, divers had gone down and got the aircraft out. And just one second. A couple of days later, during an evening stroll to the AD hangar, I patted the cowling of my mother Islander 132. My eyes were moist, for she had ferried many of us, thousands of hours, innumerable occasions, carrying us in a womb, and now lay helpless, injured forever. She seemed to be conveying her melancholy best wishes as I uttered her my final goodbye. Luck is the most precious commodity a pilot carries to manage, to live, to fly another day. That was my ditching experience. And ladies and gentlemen, before I leave the podium, I would like to say a few words for the younger generation who must be watching the YouTube. दोस्तों, जिंदगी की असली उड़ान अभी बाकी है. जिंदगी के कई इम्तिहान अभी बाकी हैं. अभी तो नापी है एक मुट्ठी जमीन आपने, आगे सारा आसमां बाकी है, आगे सारा समंदर बाकी है. लेकिन याद रखना, केवल आसमां छूने से कामयाबी नहीं मिलती. असली कामयाबी तो तब है जब आसमां भी छू लो और पैर जमीन पर रहे.
Wow. Beautifully said.
For this 75th anniversary, मैं 2 लाइन्स आजादी के शहीदों को समर्पित करना चाहूंगा, जिनके कारण आज हम आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव मना रहे हैं. जिस दिन वो शहीद हुआ, न जाने उसकी मां कैसे सोई होगी. जिस दिन वो शहीद हुआ, न जाने उसकी मां कैसे सोई होगी. मैं तो बस इतना जानता हूं, वो गोली भी उसके सीने में उतरने से पहले रोई होगी. शर्नो वर्णो जैन. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's amazing. It's like Raj dreaming in his childhood that I will one day fly this aircraft. And see, when you dream hard, the dreams come true. And that's where our Raj stands today. He's with his gorgeous wife, Meena. I'll get back to you again, Meena. In the meanwhile, I want to tell you, we have another gorgeous daughter, Priya Sharma Shaikh. She's an author, she's everything. She has lovely stories to tell, but she's our star speaker for today. And I will bring her in little later. I will just ask Ankita. Ankita Srivastava, can you hear me? Please come. Yeah, and I don't know where Ankita is. Yeah. Okay, great.
She's muted.
Please, Ankita, please unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear. That's a typical way of a Fauji way of saying, how do you hear me? Loud and clear. Or you want to be more precise, you will say strength 5. Or 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead. Please, Ankita, tell us something.
First of all, I'm so grateful to you, sir, to have discovered me, I must say. You found me out from some way. Raj, sir, I think Raj, sir, had contacted you. And then finally, I'm on board on this wonderful ship that you are the captain of today. I'm feeling so honored to be here amongst and listening to such wonderful stories of the veterans. It is such an honor to be among such an august gathering today. So I would like to, I think some of you have read my humor stories. As I can see some audience over here, they know me as a writer. I have been a military writer ever since I hung my boots. I am the first lady officer from Allahabad to join Indian Army in 1993. Those days when there was an advertisement in the newspaper that girls have started joining Indian Army, I went to my father and I said, I want to join Army. My father straight away said, no way. You are not going to join Indian Army. I'm going to fix your marriage and you will get married to the person of my choice. Now, this was a very big problem for me at such because I didn't want to get married and I wanted to join Army. So my father had fixed up my marriage with a doctor, and I literally, what shall I say? I flirted with him to convince my dad that he should allow me to go to SSB. Yeah, when the doctor convinced my dad that let her go to SSB, my father's first question was, will you still marry her even if she gets selected? So the doctor said, yes, I will. And I thanked that doctor and I went for my SSB without any training, without any coaching, without any knowledge, because there was no lady officer till then I had interacted. It was just a new induction that had started in the country. My father did not take me to any kind of like coaching center, or he didn't even buy me a book, but then I managed to lay my hands on some book of SSB. And then he himself escorted me to the SSB center, Bhopal. And all the girls who saw me sitting with my father, they were all laughing at me that look at this girl, how can she become an officer if she does not even have the guts to travel alone? She has come with her father. And ironically, I was the only one amongst them who got selected. And later on, I came to know that they were all laughing at me. They themselves walked up to me. I was sixth in the merit all over India out of the 25 girls that were selected that time. Once I came back home, obviously I was not to get married to the doctor. I went and joined OTA. So a very interesting episode had happened. Later on, I had a very strange kind of an incident. That same doctor thought that I have kind of dissed him or used him. He came there to meet me in my first unit, and I used to move with a kukri that was a small weapon to all those who don't know what is a kukri, with a handle made out of the buffalo horns. And I always used to keep it in my boots, always in my shoes or my socks. So I happened to show him that kukri. See, this is what I move around with. And I was posted in a very remote place in Bengubi, wherein the elephant menace was there, animal menace was there. It was totally in the jungles. So he took that kukri from my hand and he said, suppose if I kill you with this kukri, what will you do? I immediately took back that kukri, I put it in my shoe, and then I said, come, let me take you out for a round in the unit campus. I took him out in a Swaraj Mazda. I was the MTO. And when I approached the gate, the depot gate, the DSC Jawans, they give a salute with a weapon. So he asked me, what are they doing? I said, they are waiting for my ishara to shoot the person, whoever I will.
A real fast one.
You won't believe, sir. He immediately said, please drop me to the bus stand. I will go.
So cute.
I have done a lot of shaitanis like this in my life. And as in my military humor, I keep telling you how many funny episodes I have had in my life in the army. When I was just a second lieutenant in my first unit, the Jawans, the CMP Jawans, that is the military police Jawans, they asked me to get down from the vehicle because they said officers' children are not supposed to sit in the front. I kept telling them I am an officer, I am not an officer's child. But they didn't believe, and next day the CMP CO had to invite me in the Darbar session, in the Sainik Sammelan, and he introduced me as ये हमारे ही जैसे ऑफिसर है, अभी ज्वाइन कर गए हैं, हमारे ही जैसे लेडी ऑफिसर है, इनको भी उतना ही सम्मान मिलना है जैसा आप हमें देते हो. And they are officers, they are not officers. I used to look tiny and I used to look very young also that time. So that is how
you still look young.
Oh, thank you, sir. So then, sir, later on, the Jawans it used to be very difficult for me to get a salute or command these Jawans. It was very difficult because they had not seen a lady boss. They were not used to seeing a lady boss in uniform. So whenever they used to, especially the infantry guys, when they used to come to ordnance depot, in my depot, to collect the stores, the ammunition or the stores, they would see a security officers coming from the front. They would raise their hand, and the moment they would see it's a girl, they would bring it down without saluting me. It used to be very embarrassing actually to go through this, but then we knew we have to prove ourselves. I am the pioneer batch lady officer. I knew I had to prove every day. So then there was an inter-platoon or rather inter-unit drill parade. I volunteered to command that parade. The first day when I was giving the word of command from my mouth, the person standing next to me couldn't hear. And I was told by my commandant, Ankita, you cannot command this parade. We will lose. Our unit will lose. I cannot afford to let the morale of the troops go down if we will lose this competition. I made sure that I practiced in the night, I practiced in the afternoon, I practiced every minute. And final day, when I gave the word of command, not even my whole platoon, the other platoon also heard my word of command. And my unit came first in that inter-unit parade competition. So,
yes.
Various incidences like this, how I have been always proving to the nation, and I'll sum it up before I not go for a very long time because I think we are moving ahead with the time clock. I will sum it up. For 14 years I have served in the Indian Army. I have been proving to the nation that I am not a woman. Mind you, I was proving to the nation that I am not a woman. The girl, never woman. I was never behaving like a woman while I was in the army. I acquired all the pseudo masculinity. I started behaving like a masculine gender, talking, walking, and speaking in every manner. I mean, I used to behave like that. But when I hung my boots after 14 years of service at the age of 38, I knew the civil crowd will not accept me as a masculine figure. So that was the toughest time to go back to my feminine style. For that, I took a 180-degree challenge to walk a national beauty pageant ramp conducted by Maureen Wadia, Gladrags Mrs. India 2009, where I learned how to be a woman. So now I'm back as a woman.
Absolutely. You deserve a standing ovation. You deserve a standing ovation. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was indeed a pleasure listening to you.
Sir, I'm writing a book on this. I've already written many books. I'm an author of The Pink Scarecrow and a book called Ehsaas, and many motivational stories in various anthologies, around 15. Amazon Kindle has got my military romantic fictions are there on Amazon Kindle. Anybody can read if they want to read romance in the military backdrop, actually. A lot of it is there. And my latest book is From Olive Green to a Beauty Queen. That will, whenever God willing, it will come out. I'll let all of you know. I'm sure it will be a delight to read.
Thank you so much, Ankita. Thank you so much. Major Ankita Srivastava. And you will always remain a major. You are no more a minor now. And it was great, absolutely lovely listening to the stories of gunshots from the DSC guy. You really scared the hell out of that doctor, and I think he deserved it. Now, moving on, I will ask Akshay Rawat to share some of his time with his dad, wherever he went, and he's into a travel business these days.
Okay, hi. First of all, thank you for having me here, and it's such a esteemed audience that I really don't know where to begin with, but I will start nevertheless. I know we're running short of time also. So
Akshay, sorry.
Yes, sorry.
All friends, may I have your permission to continue, because we are already overboard as far as the time I promised you, 90 minutes. So if I have your permission, we will continue. And if anyone has a pressing requirement, please, you may kindly excuse yourself. And but if you are enjoying it, hang on, stick on, and listen to our star speaker for the day, Priya Sharma, who is going to come next. Thank you. Continue, Akshay.
Okay. So yeah, essentially, whatever I am today is primarily because of the upbringing that I've had. Dad was posted in London also, and I remember quickly. I'll tell you a short story. I was, I think, 4 years old, and when we came back, and we had a good life there. So I thought, okay, this is life, right? We're in London, and this is now my life. And then suddenly we come back Indira Gandhi Airport, and we move to Kota House, and from a Toyota Corolla, he has a Bajaj scooter, and I have to stand in front. So and then as I grew up, I realized how tough life is, because we were used to going to a club, signing, badminton, khel lo, you can play golf, live a good life, sign, go have a soft drink, have your akuri on toast at US club, sign again, and then dad would complain at the end of the month, beta, how much are you having? And then when I went into college, I realized, okay, this is not the real world, and you need money. Because I remember once I asked dad for Nike shoes. I was in my 10th standard. I said, Dad, no, I don't know. I want Nike shoes. So my dad took out his payslip, and he says, beta, I can't afford Nike shoes. I said, what? We stay in a 3-bedroom house. We've got a good life. What is the point of all this, But I think today I realized that the qualities that I have developed, I mean, values, ethics, of course, that's very important, but the confidence. And forget that everyone who's speaking on this panel, I mean, Commodore Bhada and Major Ankita and everyone else who's been here, what confidence. And this is the only skill you need to survive life. I'll share a very short story again, which has made me what I am. So why am I doing a business in Andaman? Because when dad was posted as CEO Jarawa in 96, I fell in love. I said, this is what I want to do in my life. And I remember Captain Mehta, and he was also there. And I remember playing cricket with Nakul under his house. So great memories. And then I came back, and but that thing remained in my head. I want to do something in Andaman. And that's been my life. So to cut short, what happened is, at US Club, Mr. Tata used to come with his dog for a walk. Now I was 19 years old, and Navy gives you confidence, right? Being a defense kid, the one thing you learn is to be fearless, to believe in your dreams, just to go out and do whatever you think is right. You don't do something wrong, but yes, you do what is right. So Mr. Tata was sitting with his dog, and I went up to him, and a friend of mine pushed us. Captain Mehta, Sandhu uncle's daughter, Babusha, was there. And
Yes.
she knew I had this dream. I want to do something in Andaman. And she said, oh, you need money, and you don't have money. So you go to someone big. So I went up to Mr. Tata, and he was sitting with his dog. And I just went to him and I said, sir, I have a dream. And he's like, he looked at me blank. And then he's a lefty. He took his hand, wrote his landline number. And fortunate enough, many years later, he actually invested in my business. So today we run a travel setup and a restaurant, which is funded by Mr. Tata. And so, I mean, these things of life would not have happened had I lived just another life. Whatever I have achieved, which is actually equal to nothing after hearing all of you. But I think that confidence, that sense of responsibility, that integrity. So even though we run a small business in Andaman, we are 100% compliant with GST. We don't cut even in our employees. We have around 70 employees. You won't believe, in the lockdown, for 1.5 years, we have paid every single employee. We have not thrown anyone out, and we're not a big business. And many people tell me, Akshay, why are you doing this? I said, because it is the right thing to do. Because defense has taught me this, that you do what is right. Money is not everything. And when I see the camaraderie between people, Postmates and the get-togethers, and even today, Commodore Bhada, my dad was, I sent him a picture of you. So he says, yes, he's a Parsi, very fine speaking gentleman. And he sent a photo of you giving him some prize, which you had given as the president of Western, that golf association. So, this camaraderie that I've seen in the defense force, I bring into my own business. And I think whatever I am today, small, I'm happy, I'm content. And this is all because of the great experience that I've had as a naval kid. So thank you, Captain Mehta, for having me here and, interacting. I honestly thought, I may find this boring, because I said, I don't know who all are going to be there, what are they going to speak, but here I am enjoying every minute, and I'm going to hear Priya also speak, because this has been a fantastic event. So thank you for having me here. And just not a business pitch, but if any one of you ever plans a trip to Andaman, do reach out to us. Besides the travel, we run a lovely restaurant in Havelock. So thank you for having me here, and I'm going to be here. And once again, thank you so much. Thank you to the defense, and thank you to Captain Mehta for having been considerate enough to have thought of me.
Thank you, Akshay. You literally poured your heart out. And believe me, friends, whatever Akshay has shared with us, it's all about camaraderie. It's all about relationship. Am I right? And all about learning the leadership. Every child, every spouse, they become a leader in themselves. And as you sow, so shall you reap. Besides great leadership and integrity qualities, which our veterans have imbibed in the service, their spouses have imbibed in the service, their children have imbibed in the service, it requires to be a successful entrepreneur, to be a successful professional like Akshay, like Priya, like even Nakul, to be even a successful student. You need these three qualities: affection for your followers, love for your followers, respect from your followers, and third most important quality of a leadership, which all of us receive in the service, is the trust, the mutual trust between them. With this, I will call upon the last panelist, Priya Sharma Shaikh. Priya, she is amazing, enterprising daughter of Commodore Inderjit Sharma. And she is one of the, I think you are the eldest child of Commodore Sharma. Am I right, Priya?
Yes,
yeah,
that's right. I'm the oldest daughter.
Yeah,
that comes with its own problems.
Correct. Commodore Sharma has shared with me amazing story of how her announcement was made when she was to come into this world. Do you remember that story, Priya?
Yeah. So when Papa was in the midst of the storm of Dhanushkodi.
Just hold on, hang on. We can't. I think there is a bandwidth problem with you. We can't see you properly. We can't hear you properly.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better. Go ahead, please.
Okay. So yes, when I have been told this story that when Papa was at Dhanushkodi and the whole storm was, taking up the southern hemisphere of the Indian subcontinent. At that point in time, he was lost. He lost radio control, and Mummy was living with a junior. I think one of his sailors in his sailor's mother-in-law's home, because there was no accommodation for her, and she was living by herself there. And she felt sick. She in fact got paralyzed when she knew that I'm going to be that I'm going to be maybe widowed because my husband is there's no trace of him. And however, of course, history continues to show that he did brave the storm. He saved over 3,000 people, not only from the Indian, that region in Dhanushkodi, but also saved people from the Sri Lankan, the islands that surrounded the shores there. And a lot of fisher folk were saved and their families. This was at the time when, he was away, and he was away for almost a month, when he had told his newlywed wife at that time that I'm going to be gone only for about a week or 10 days. And as you can imagine, she was young, naive, and she was so innocent and so full of love with her husband. And there was no radio contact, and she was so sure that he was gone. But he survived. And when he held me in his arms on 2nd of September, 1965, he says, I came back, God saved me to be her father. And that's why I'm here. And that was the beautiful experience, I think, that Mama always talks to me about, that, Papa says that he came back, God saved him to be your father, Priya. And they used to call me Ladli as a baby. And I was a very fast, learner as a child. And I'd often, I walked very early, I spoke very early and things like that. So one fine day, Papa was leaving for office. And on his way out, Mummy used to call him Jangi. And she used to keep saying that tum ladte mere saath bahut ho, to tumhara naam Jangi rakha jayega. They used to always, so she used to call him Jangi with affection. And one day when he was leaving to office, he was on the way out, and suddenly he heard a small, meek voice calling him Jangi. And he turned around, and that was me. And that was the first word that I spoke. So he said, Rekha, तेरी वजह से मेरी बेटी भी मुझे आज जंगी बोली. So, there are so many inspiring stories. I cannot even tell you, when I listen to Papa and Mama's stories of those times, there's just so much warmth, so much love and affection, not only for each other, but as a family, we've grown up with all of that, seeing the kind of sacrifices, seeing the kind of, courage, seeing the kind of resilience and the hope and I would say, the hard work, the integrity with which Papa and Mummy have both worked. And that's what shows, today they are living their golden years. By the grace of God, they are healthy, they are well, they are in a nice place, they are, financially secure. And that shows from that, that's a gift that the world gives back to you when you've lived a life of that kind, with so much of integrity and, trust and love and affection for what you're doing. My mother was a teacher, and Papa was, of course, as you know, an Indian naval officer. In fact, one of the days when we were talking, one fine day, we were having dinner at his place, and he started talking about, about the 1971 war, and we were just listening, and it was, going on into the conversation. And suddenly he said to me, and he said, yeah, it was, and then suddenly when the war started, so he said, that was the missile that was shot from Nirghat. So I said, are you saying that you started the war with 1971? He said, yes. For 1971, the Indian naval side of the war was started by us, by our ship. And in fact, the first ever missile shot out of independent India from an Indian naval ship and to sink a Pakistani naval ship, may God bless their souls, but was from INS Nirghat, and Papa was the captain of that ship at that time. So I often asked Papa, I said, Papa, did you ever feel the sense of, that ye main kya kar raha hu, in that moment? He says, no, Priya. In that moment, it was only my ship, my men, and my target, nothing else. At that time, I didn't have any memory of anybody else, anything else. In that moment, I just needed to do that. So I said, but did you ever think that you would be killing all those people? So he said, well, that is what my role in that moment was. He said, 3,000 people I saved in 1964, in December 1964. At that time, did I think that, I'm getting this opportunity to save? He says, in this moment, I have to take lives because this is what my duty is calling me to do. And that's the biggest lesson that I have learned from my dad, that living in the moment, living for the here and the now. What is my life calling me to do in this very moment? Can I do that? Can I do that with complete focus and integrity? Can I do that with complete intention of doing the right thing without, shaking in my focus, in my intention, in my target? And whenever I have been in that space, as a coach now, as an internationally, not only certified but credentialed coach, and as the president of the International Coaching Federation here in Mumbai, my intention is always this, that whenever I'm present, like the way my father has been, I know I have given my best self. And that's the lesson that I'd like to leave to all the viewers and all the children who are watching this, youngsters who are watching this, that if you are willing to be in the values that you believe in truly, it's from best. So that's what Mama and Papa taught me. And that's what I believe I have been able to do for the world. I've written Papa's story in a book. The book is called Jangi, A Warrior's Journey. It's available on Amazon.com and on Amazon.in. Please do look for it and read it. It's a story that's beautiful, a story of, literally an underdog who was born in, pre-partition India and Pakistan side, who came here, struggled through the partition, went through penury, went through a lot of, poor conditions, maybe first as a sailor, then really struggle and work hard to become an officer. And then not only an officer, but an officer who has been decorated not once, but twice, and how by the president of the country. So Ati Vishesh Seva and Veer Chakra. I mean, he has taken the ground and able to achieve, even though I salute you, Papa, and I salute you, Mama, for being the backbone for Papa while he did all that he did for the country and for all of us. Thank you for being the perfect heroes, and thank you for teaching me and my sisters, Mala and Angelika, who are not here right now on this call, but will listen in later, to be the heroes of our lives. Thank you very much for having me here, Captain Mehta. This has been such a privilege.
Thank you, Priya. It's absolutely, you made my eyes numb. And this story, I may have heard about your dad at least more than 5 times. I've also written about this story in the Naval magazine, Quarterdeck. And anyone who reads it, I've got at least half a dozen responses that it's amazing. It's amazing. But the story of Commodore Sharma doesn't end here. The story of Priya Sharma doesn't end here. We are going to have also a season 2 of this, perhaps every month, where we're going to share stories, and there will be a continuation, and those interested can keep coming back and share more and more. Yes, right, friend. So let me tell you, the storytelling is an art which describes the social and cultural activity of a community. In this case, the Fauji community. Our armed forces too have their own stories and narratives, which have been shared today as means of entertainment, cultural preservation, or you can say instilling moral values with and among our civilian friends. It was absolutely amazing. We have overshot our time, but nevertheless, I guess almost except for 1 or 2, everyone has stuck. So I'm grateful to all the audience, all the participants over here who have held on to us, and absolutely great. I will now ask our host to say the Swati, are you ready to thank,
Yes,
give a vote of thanks to all our panelists?
yes. Thank you all panelists, veterans, their spouses and their brides, sons and daughters, on sharing enlightening experiences on this beautiful Independence Day. Thank you for all being here today, and also for your thoughts to see the life through the eyes of armed forces veterans. I wish you all a very happy Independence Day. Thank you.
Yes, but before we go, I still give each participant and even the veterans, and please, should you have any questions, all of us would be happy to respond to you. Yes, right. Thank you. It's absolutely, I can say, I, Captain Pratap Mehta, can say with my eyes numb and with joy and cheer on my face that I've had such an honor to be with you all today, all the panelists and all the participants. Thank you very much. You guys are amazing. Priya, Akshay, Nakul, Raj, Mike sir, Neerja, and IJ sir, Rekha ji, and everyone. If I missed out any name, Nitin sir, Geetanjali, you guys rock. Thank you, thank you. I wouldn't have done this, pulled it off without each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you
all
very
my
much.
respected panelists. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good night, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And,
Good night.
yeah.
Bye.